Fishing with Entrepreneurs is an adventure and a sanctuary for me and guest founders to drop our guards, share truths, and navigate the turbulent waters of mental health issues that come with the entrepreneurial journey. Come run Texas rivers and lakes with us on our jet boat where normal boats can't access while having vulnerable conversations that will help any entrepreneur foster self-discovery, resilience, and real transformation. On today's episode of Fishing with Entrepreneurs, I'm joined by Josh Gallas. He's a film director and a founder of Prelude Films, and we're fishing on a beautiful historic North Texas ranch, catching dozens of largemouth bass while discussing the challenges that us entrepreneurs face with overactive minds that can't seem to turn off and near and dear relationships that are oftentimes struggling. Founder therapist Laura Guzman, she drops in and she shares insights with us that can instantly help us understand a lot about ourselves and how to quickly turn things around. So stick around until the end of the episode to see the biggest catch as the small fish entrepreneur, well, he might just get wet. Big fish wins, small fish swims.
And the loser jumps in the lake, is that right? Did you just come up with that, or have you been thinking about it for a while?
Actually, I will say that I put that on paper.
Did you chat GPT that? Or
no, I didn't.
Okay.
That's original.
Nice.
So we're gonna weigh fish, and we're gonna catch a bunch of fish out here today. So it obviously hasn't been a long journey. But if you're talking to your younger self, your 26-year-old self, and are there any items that you would tell your 26-year-old self to kind of be aware of, or be thoughtful of, or be prepared for?
I would tell myself that there is a myth of making it. Everyone thinks that, like, as soon as we land these clients, or as soon as we land this, $1 million job or whatever it is, we have made it, and there's kind of smooth sailing after that. And boy, is that false.
I think he's right there rivaling your half-pound
Yeah, I think
fish.
so.
I don't know, we need the scales on him.
As soon as I heard that, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah, I'm curious if that's actually healthy, or if it's I'm living in some type of denial. I don't know.
Actually, I think that's a really great way in which I would say Josh is managing his expectations, and that can be a really positive thing. Now, sometimes people will say, oh, I'm just not going to hope for anything, so if something happens, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Or, I'm just going to hope for the best and see what happens. So people have different approaches. With Josh, I really think that what he was expressing is that the idea that he had something that was constantly like, I have to work to this and work to this, and the stress of working towards that expectation was actually taking away his energy and his motivation. When he sort of accepted that, wow, this entrepreneurial journey is risky, it's uncertain, I may or may not get to where I think I'm going. There's something about that normalized it for him, that could just let him release the pressure and expectations and probably be a lot more calm in just the day-to-day. So I think for him, he's finding a solution that works for sustainable energy output.
Whether it's as a director or a business owner, founder, what have been any personal challenges have you had to feel like you've had to overcome?
Honestly, the hardest thing, trying to be a good husband, a good father, a good brother, a good son, all those things, like the family and social life is what takes the biggest hit, and specifically the husband-father roles. Because you just feel like you can't take a day off. You can't, the moments of trying to get home a little early to be at your son's birthday party, or trying to show up to your nephew's baseball game, and then just also trying to spend quality time with your spouse. That also works. Because of work and how busy I am, I just don't have a lot of flexibility with, time is the biggest thing that being an entrepreneur, I think it just sucks your time.
Yep.
I mean, I've learned a ton from you when you're sitting there and you're like, hey, don't make the same mistake I did, working all these late nights. And while the family's over there playing games, and then they look away to go bake some cookies, and you pull out your laptop and get a little bit of work done, and it's like, don't do that. And you're like, yeah, you're right, I probably shouldn't. Or else, I totally would do that.
I would say that is what struck me with Josh was his self-awareness, which goes a long way, especially when you're navigating a relationship. So to be able with your spouse, partner, to name the stress that the entrepreneurial venture is placing on the relationship, to be able to say, this is a season of feeling more distance, like feels like we're roommates. We're just like hanging, handing the baton like you talked about. It's like, okay, tag, you're it. And being able to talk about that and normalize and still express that this is something that is seasonal, it's cyclical, and we will go through things in our businesses where we want to set that expectation with our partners. Like I'm here, I love you, thank you for all this support. I couldn't be doing this without you. And this is something, we're in the middle of a launch or we're doing this, like setting that expectation. Now, what you have to be careful of is not staying, as many entrepreneurs do, in that constant go, go, go. And then you keep saying to your partner, you keep saying to your family, I'll be there next weekend. I'll show up to the soccer game next time. You got to be careful that you're really being honest, that you are able to go all in on something, and then you take a break, you take a weekend, you take time to prioritize the family.
What do you think makes it such a challenge?
It all has good intentions at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think it starts pure and then it ends with like, why are you working so hard because you want these nice things or because you're really competitive and you're seeing that you're starting to win?
Yeah.
And if you push a little bit harder, you're winning. And then there's the sense of, I don't know, we work with so many freelancers and you can't help but work really hard because suddenly it's like you're not just working for your family, you're working for everyone that you would employ.
Another good intention.
Another good intention.
Motive.
I mean, I got so many friends that are in this business that are in it, 10, 20, 30 years ahead of me. And they're struggling with all the same things. I don't know where that lie kind of comes from. If we can invest so much more now, then we don't have to do it later on. It's like, that's just not true.
Deanna and I had this conversation last night.
Yeah.
Is just when you're enjoying doing something, building something,
Yeah.
and you're seeing it grow, and you're like,
yeah.
I just put a little more time in here, just another half hour, just another hour, and you see it growing as a result of the more effort you put into it.
It's a rush.
It's a rush,
Yeah, it's a dopamine hit for sure.
It is.
It is so fun.
But this work-life balance is a constant conversation with my clients. And it's really challenging for partners that might have more of a 9 to 5 if they are used to being able to leave their work at work and come home. Sometimes that can be challenging. They ask their entrepreneurial partner, when are you going to let this go? When you never turn it off, you're always thinking about it. I think you care more about your business than you do about the family, right? So you want to pay attention to when that is coming up because there's some hurt there. There's something that person is saying, I don't understand. They may not actually be saying like you're wrong, but they're saying I don't understand it and you're hurting me in this process. So that's where, like, it sounds like he and Abby kind of have a little humor about it. They have some conversations about it. And so the more that you can keep it above the line, so to speak, keeping it in the consciousness, then it's less likely to lead to resentment. It's when we're not talking, we're just letting it go underground, your partner's making passive aggressive comments, and you're just like, okay, I guess they're upset. That's when we get into dangerous territory where they end up in an office with a couples therapist in order to really get some help with that. If you're proactive, then you can start having those conversations just over morning coffee. Like, it's been really tough. I've missed you. I haven't seen you. My husband actually did something that was so helpful at one point in my most intense moment with my co-working space that I was running, where I was just, so distracted. And he just sat down with me one time and just looked me in the eye and said, I really miss you, right? I miss you. Like, when are we going to get some time? And that really softened me into being like, I miss you too. Oh my gosh, this has been a crazy time. So yes, let's get a date night on the calendar. Let's prioritize this. And so I think just thinking about how do you how do you express something from that place of I'm needing to come back into connection with you versus like I'm so busy, we never have any time together, or what's going on? And there's this expression around, what's inside the couple bubble, like preserve that. It's just as important. You have the business and then you have the couple. And if the couple piece is starting to break down, you're not going to have all that support you need to keep doing the entrepreneurial thing. So really keeping that in mind of those interdependency, that your relationships are just as important as this business because they work together to support the success of the company and the success of your well-being.
How about as far as not just holding the time with your family? How about just your emotional availability when you're there? Or has that been difficult?
Yeah, I have good weeks and bad weeks. Some weeks are better than others. We don't have a whole lot going on, but some weeks if we got a lot of shoots or like I'm trying to hit some big writing deadlines, working on a script, and we've kind of like struck inspiration and
You got a lot on your mind.
oh yeah, when you got a whole lot on your mind, it's really hard.
Well, you said you were ready for a cigar about an hour ago. You want me to?
Yeah, I might light one up.
Huh?
That does sound kind of nice.
All right, I'll take care of you. You were saying you're becoming more aware of it.
I am.
Abby's helping you be aware of it, but better keep that cigar in your mouth, brother. Oh, that's a little better. Maybe he'll swing, pull him up. He's a little bit better.
Oh, I feel like I should weigh that guy.
All right.
I feel confident enough.
You feel like it's gonna. I feel like it's gonna hit the.
He looks very similar to the last one that I caught, but enough that might put a couple more numbers on the board.
A little bit more pressure on me.
So 3 pounds. I'm curious what Laura would have to say and what advice that she would have for younger entrepreneurs in this balance between coming home from work. Like, how do you leave work at the door so you can spend quality, uninterrupted time with your family?
In the business, so you're ruminating, you're problem solving, and so a lot of family members around the hyper-focused entrepreneur is like they're here but they're not here, right? They're here but they're totally somewhere else in their mind. And so when you're wanting to make the transition from that hyper-focused mind state to more presence with your family, it's helpful to think about what little transitional ritual do you need. And if you have a commute, and I think before COVID, this was so much more popular of like, oh, I can do stuff in my car. Now some people are home officing, so they're going from like one room to another. But you can do this wherever you are, just from one space to another. For commutes, a lot of times it's just, can you actually start, doing all of the thinking and imagining that you're just going to drop all of that into a folder to deal with later, and like listen to your favorite music, or just know that I'm going to give this every little bit of thought, and I am going to do a voice recording when I get in my driveway of anything I need to dump. And then I'm going to walk into that house, take a couple of deep breaths, and change my state. So there's that intentionality of how do I change my mindset from one place to another. Shorter distance from like one room to another, but you can also do that. I do it at home. I work a lot with virtual work. So at the end of my client time, I do a walk. And if it's only just like around my block, that might be that. If I only have time, I like to go 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour if I have it. But for me, it's a shift in my energy to just go for a walk, think through my day. I love voice memos. I just voice memo and either, something that will transcribe it or hold it for later. And I just get everything out of my head. Because for many entrepreneurs, it's the fear of forgetting that idea, that you're leaving something on the table. So you want to give your mind that peace of mind that you are going to be able to hold on to any content that's still lingering, dump it into something, journal it, memo, to-do list, and then do a transition with exercise, music, movement, something that just helps you change your state from one environment the next environment so you can show up more present with your family.
Wish I'd heard that 20, 25 years ago. That's so good. I don't know if I'd do it.
We didn't talk about it as much then, you know?
No.
Luckily, we are talking more now these days.
All right, man. Appreciate you being on the boat, Josh. You won today, fair and square. You had 3 fish that were, one was over ½ pound, one was ½ pound, and then we had one that we didn't weigh because we didn't have on camera.
Yeah, I think you were just embarrassed you didn't want to weigh it.
Yeah, probably. Smallest fish swims. I told you that here at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Woo! Gosh, man, I'm telling you, you gotta do it.
Oh my God.